There we go. So I was actually doing some maths before this, and between the lot of us, if you can believe it, we have over 100 years in estate agency. So super excited to hear from everyone today what your advice is, and thank you so much for taking the time to, give this value to everyone as well. So I'll let you introduce all yourselves, and then how it will work. Everyone will just, say what, their little bit of advice, and then we'll go through. We'll have some questions, Q&A in between, and then we'll wrap up at the end. So Terry, first up in our lineup, 23 years in agency, started in 2015, Fine and Country, am I right?
2015 in Fine and Country, yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously I've been in the corporate world for many years and started as a complete cold start in an area that I'd never even been to before. It's a good, my sort of area is between 30 minutes and 60 minutes from home. So it was an area that I wasn't aware of, but we've sort of managed to wrap it up now and doing really good.
Amazing. So what can you tell the audience today how they can win in their area? What's your golden nuggets for them to win in 2025?
So we've
And
got
it's
about 8 minutes, yeah?
Yeah, 5, 8. Let's
Okay,
go.
so there's really just three key things that I wanted to mention, which I could talk for an hour on each one, but I'll make it really quick. So
Sure, we all
I think the
can.
first thing is for anybody out there that hasn't knocked doors or does knock doors and doesn't get success, there's a really good, easy way of doing it. And the secret of that is if you are prepared to go and knock somebody's door that is currently on the market, they may have been on the market for 6 months, haven't had any luck. When you go up to the door, we've got to go up there without expecting anything in it for us. And
Yeah.
I spent many years in the corporate world knocking doors, just purely asking them to give me their house to sell. And I think when you go up to the house, if you actually give the client something, bearing in mind that they've not met you, so they'll be a little bit standoffish potentially. At Fine and Country, we have a magazine called Refined, but depending on which agency you work in, you may have a guide you could do of all the houses you're selling. You could have a best price guide of what's sold in their road. You could have a market update. It could be 10 best ways to get the top price for your home. But when you go to that client and you give them that, you're actually giving, and I can guarantee they will always, always appreciate it. So the first tip is if you've ever gone knocking doors and you've decided not to do it because you've had doors shut in your face, that's what a lot of estate agents do. The real key is to go and give something to somebody. And when they take it and they say thank you, you can then get into a conversation and ask them where they're looking to move to. And, you don't want to say you're looking to stay local, because if they say yes, you haven't really got anywhere to go. So you say to them, I hope you find that useful. Where are you looking to move? And you can just get into a conversation, what have you seen lately that works for you? And you can have a chat for 2 or 3 minutes with some good open questions. And then at the end, you can say to them, how are you getting on trying to sell your house? And then get into a conversation there where you could say, look, I've just sold one around the corner. If I had somebody that was matching perfectly to your house, would you be interested? Nobody's ever going to say, yeah, if you got a perfect buyer, I wouldn't be interested, because they're trying to sell their home. And I would target people that have been on the market at least 3 months, because they're the most key people that can come out of their contracts. And I would target people that reduced their homes between 2 and 4 weeks ago, because you see they're motivated and want to get moving. But the first of the three tips is purely, if you are going to knock doors, and if it's something you've thought, I don't want to do it, go and try it. Because if you go down that route where you're giving something to the client, they will always appreciate it, and you start on the right foot. So that's the first thing. The second thing, obviously, you're going to have a bank of previous market appraisals that you've done. It is so key that every time you sell a property, whether it's in the next road to them or it's 5 miles away, and whether it's at the same price that you valued theirs at, or whether it's £50,000 difference, you need to be on the phone to every appraisal that you've done in the last 12 months and let them know you've just sold another one around the corner. And, if it is a similar house, you can then potentially say to them, well, look, this was on at the same sort of money. We had, people like facts. So you could say we had 11 viewings, we had 4 people that offered, and as a result of selling it, 3 people have missed out. Can I get them round yours? And there's a phrase I love to use, and I get so much success with it. Well, there's two. One is, would you be open-minded? And the other one is, what would it take? So, you could be saying to these people, if they're not quite there, well, look, first of all, would you be open-minded for me to at least pop round and have a quick coffee with you and just tell you a bit about the one I've sold? That is so much better than saying, can I come and give you another appraisal? Because it sounds too intense when they might not be ready. So,
Yeah.
would you be open-minded for me to pop round and have another chat with you and just see over a coffee, what we got for this house and what your plans are? You will get a really good uplift of people that will say that. And with that nurture journey and these touch points, you've got to be in front of that client anything from 6 to 11 times before they will know you enough, like you enough, and trust you enough. So that quick coffee around there would work really, really well. So that works excellent. And then the other phrase is, what would it take? So when you are sitting with that person, you can say to them, so look, what would it take for you to agree to sell your home? And it might be they say, well, we'd take 700,000 for it, and you may have said it's worth 675. And as long as it's not ridiculous, I'd say put that house on the market. You can always have a conversation 4 weeks down the line. But would you be open-minded? What would it take? They're two things that work really well. My last tip, and this is my favorite one, and I hope you're all going to think this is a great tip, and it's worked for me recently. You guys are all going to have your CRM systems, right? Where your systems will record all the previous market appraisals that you've ever done. And it could be somebody that, your office did an appraisal for in 2017. What I have been doing is I've been getting all of the properties that are on the market for sale. So going into Rightmove, putting your postcode area in, the property sector that you want to deal in, get a list of every single property that is currently out there for sale. What you then need to do is to type each one of those addresses one at a time into your CRM system. Now, by doing that, if that person is registered and has historically ever been registered on your system, their details will come up, their phone number, their email address, and their name. The second thing to do, and the most important thing to do, is to then put that property into Rightmove, Rightmove sold. And if it shows that you valued that property in 2017, but the last time that property changed hands was in 2014, that is the current seller that is on the market at the minute. And I've recently done that with a client. He'd actually bought it from us in 2016, seen it was online, and there'd been no other sold record of it. Now, I was able to get his details purely by the fact he was in our CRM system, but I've picked up some other appraisals just purely from finding a house that's online, put the address into your CRM system, and if it has not changed hands since you valued it, you then have the client's details. That at the moment, Rightmove will only give you the address of the house. You can get the client's details by doing that. You can give them a call and you've got them. And it is just the best way. And I've sold 7 houses in the last 3 or 4 months purely as a result of doing that.
Brilliant.
I think that's 8 minutes.
Plus minus, we'll go. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Terry. Yeah, look, know, like, trust. I mean, that goes to everyone. And I mean, that will come through on your socials. It will come through with the conversations that you're having. But the bottom line is you need to position yourself as the expert in the market. Okay. Does anyone have anything that they would like to say off the back end of Terry's? Or are we good? No? Fran? What can you tell the audience?
Good morning, everybody.
What are your tips and tricks to win in 2025? What can we do different?
For me, 2025 is all about control and consistency, because I'm sure we all have days where the day runs us and we don't run our day. So I'm a big believer in morning routines. Personally, it's an early start, getting to the gym, getting some movement in, getting in early to the office and getting organised.
It helps your mental health as well.
Absolutely. And if I don't, I just feel all out of sorts because I've not been. So people know when I've not been to the gym or been for a walk in the morning. So I've mastered my personal morning routine. But obviously, I've been doing this job for 13 years now. market changes, technology changes. So my morning routine for my working day had to evolve and change some more. And I'm very good at being consistent for a week or two, but you know, you have a week off or a few days off, and then it's a slower start getting back into that. So the hacks that I've implemented, which have worked so far, and that I want to share with everybody today, and what I've implemented in the office as well, is our morning routine. So without fail, every morning at 10 a.m., we have our morning meeting. Now, a morning meeting could be get overruled by some issue that happened yesterday, but this morning routine is purely based on missed opportunities. And missed opportunities will be, right, what valuations have we done this week? Have they gone to market? Have they not gone to market? What's the potential fee that we've lost? What's the fee that we've won? What is still there to be chased down? Likewise, with applicants, what missed opportunities have we got? Because us agents are fantastic at chasing new business. But what we don't forget, or what we forget and what we don't follow up on, is the goldmine of a database that we've got already, or the 5 viewings that we did with Mr. and Mrs. Smith on Saturday, but because they didn't like one of the 5 properties, we've dismissed them and we're trying to find other applicants and people to deal with. So every morning we group up and we say, right, this valuation, what's happened here? Is there an opportunity for somebody else to speak to this person? And the message that I'm getting across, not only to the team, but to clients and potential clients, is that we are here to help. And that's where the consistency comes in. And because we are being politely persistent and asking, how can we help? You've not made your decision yet. Why? What's troubling you? What's on your mind? How can we help? Can we get you in to see our mortgage advisor to understand what your options are finance-wise? Do we need to speak to some tradesmen to see if we can get you some quotes to get your property ready to come to market? Those kind of conversations is what I'm really focusing on every single morning, because estate agency is all about property. If we don't have property, we don't have applicants, we don't have viewings, we don't have sales, we don't have a morning meeting. So I've really gone back to basics now, and I am sticking with missed opportunities, going through the diary, and every morning we have got a list on a big whiteboard of valuations and applicants, and we're speaking about these people every single day. And as I say, because we're being politely persistent and we are helping, our conversion.
I think the key word you said there, Fran, is help. Yeah,
absolutely. And that is the message that I'm getting across on all of our marketing, not only in the office, but on my videos, on my follow-up calls, follow-up WhatsApps, follow-up emails, anything. What can I do to help you in your journey? Whether you're right at the start, whether you've started with another agent and we're starting again and relaunching you, how can I help? And I think the key message there as well is being politely persistent. You know, it's, yeah, we've all got targets, but if you nurture slowly and build relationships at various touch points, instead of assuming, yeah, I really got on with that person, they're definitely going to instruct me. And if there's another agent that's got more touch points than what we have, we're not going to get that business. So yeah, my 2025 rule is control and being consistent and helping people.
amazing. Thanks, Fran. Just a reminder to the audience, please drop your questions in as we go if you do have any questions for our panelists, and we'll answer them in between. And if there's any we didn't get to, then we'll answer that at the end. Again, I see Adam snuck in the door here. Morning, Adam. Lovely to have you on today.
Morning. Yeah, so I'm late.
No worries. All right, Alex, what can you tell us? What are your tips and tricks for 2025, and how can these agents thrive?
Well, I think the biggest thing, especially in 2025 now, and I think the kind of modern world we're in, is really about video and personal branding.
Yeah,
which has been basically transformative in terms of how I've launched my business. And it's probably, if anybody was starting a business of their own or getting into a estate agency, or they've been in an estate agency for a long time and they're trying to find a way to grow their business. I think adopting video and social media is so important. And I think that it's not just obviously it's helping people recognize you often before you've got through the door. I think that's been the biggest thing, is a bit like Terry mentioned about people like knowing and trusting you. It gives you that opportunity to sometimes that they've already kind of gotten to know you before you're through that door.
Yes,
And whether that be on an appraisal or door knocking and you turn up, it's always nice to hear when people say we're already familiar with you.
I feel like I know you. Yes.
Well, exactly, and I think that, but it's making sure that when you are doing that content, you're making yourself as visible as possible, but you're also delivering as much value as possible.
I think it also comes down to being authentic. I mean, people, again, going back to the concept of people buy from people, right? So for them, when they come to you and they've seen you already on video and they've, been following your socials, it's just they're coming into that conversation or into that appraisal or whatever it is already so much warmer and,
Well, I think as they say, the best marketing is the stuff that doesn't feel like marketing.
Yes.
If it's all sell, 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 and I think obviously people can be turned off by that. But if you're generally delivering honest value and you're giving people advice, whether that be tips and advice about selling, it can be a mix. You have to mix it up a bit. You can have your property tours, you can have reels, long form content and short form content, and just mix it up a little bit. And I think that's what's, because different people are going to react to different things, and I think that it's just making sure that. And I think the biggest thing is what I was going to say is, I think for people perhaps who are in a market where they, like I said, they're just starting out, or maybe it's a really competitive market where they are and they're trying to figure out how can we get through more doors, is really look closely at what your competition's doing. And I think if above anything, there are very few agents in your area that are doing video. That's your golden ticket.
So many.
And I think people, it's easy as agents. We see a lot of agents, like, Michael and Adam and Terry, all have done video for, some of them have been doing it for years. So it's very easy to feel that, it's already been done. But, we operate in different areas, and you've got to just look at your area and think that our agents doing video. And then even if they are doing video, the biggest bit of advice I would give people is that they can't replicate you. At the end of the day, yes, they're doing their videos and they're doing it their way with their passion and their enthusiasm, but you've just got to be your authentic self. So you've got to get out there and show them what you know, what you can deliver. And that's obviously what people are going to warm up to. And I think certainly, as Gary Vee says, attention is the new currency. I think in this massive world, it's people seeing, and that people like to see what you're up to. So it's sharing behind the scenes, things like that as well. And I think that's a big thing of, like I said, especially when you're going to be going through that door and you could be one of 2, 3, 4, 5 agents. It could be that little shift of the needle that's going to get you the instruction. Or you might be the only agent through the door. I've genuinely had appraisals where they've only asked me out because they've seen, again, the success that I've shared through social media, and they've seen the properties that I'm sharing, and they've just said, look, we wouldn't want anybody else marketing the property. And so I think it's that kind of combination of things, that also then being able to back it up with reviews and everything else that you do. But I think the second thing that I was going to say was that I think a lot of agents at the moment, again, everyone's always talking about fees and fees, and the fees are going down, and agents are dropping fees left, right, and center to win business. But I think what I try and say to people and other agents that I've spoken to is that stop looking at it as a fee and a commission, and call it your value proposition. What's your value proposition to that
Just
client?
about to say, it's how you communicate your value. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think it's knowing, again, when going back to see what your competitors are doing, if you're the only agent who does viewings on a Sunday, or you've got the highest percentage of properties sold, so out of your 10 properties you've got listed, 9 are under offer, and that you only take on 10 properties at a time, leverage those things. So really look, and rather than it becoming about, it's always about the fee and the commission that they're charging, if someone really sees value in what you do, they shouldn't question the commission. Some will still push it, but I've had plenty that have come back to me and said, well, look, you were more commission than any of the other agents, but we just loved everything you said. We resonated with it. We liked the marketing. And yeah, we're happy to go ahead. So I think sometimes it's easy to get hung up on the fee, and sometimes say that we lost it based on fee, and some you might still lose on fee because that's just the way that client's inclined. But there are lots more people out there that all they're looking for is value. They're looking at, what are you going to do for me, and that's ultimately what they want to know. So you've got to make sure if you've got the privilege of going through that door, because again, you might be one of 3 agents in a town where there's 10 agents, so you're already one of 3. So make sure when you have got through there that you're going to deliver a value proposition that's going to make it a non-negotiable that you're the agent to go for them.
Yeah, I think it's super important to know your worth and stick to your fees. If you communicate that value, as you just rightly said, they're going to see that and they are going to go with you. But I think it's also equally as important to know when to walk away and know that that client isn't for you. So any tips on about that, Alex? Have you ever said no
I think,
to anyone?
well, look, I think we've all been there. We've all taken clients on that perhaps we felt we shouldn't have taken, and we negotiated on fee. Look, we're all guilty of it. It happens. But I think you've got to look at, if you're looking in that situation, it's looking at, okay, is there something else within this listing? Is it on a street that you've been desperate to get into? And are you going to lose that opportunity for the sake of 0.25%, maybe, and then you don't get the listing at all? So I think it is also making sure that if the client aligns on other things, they're going to price it at the right price. It's going to give you an opportunity to get a board up on a street that you've always wanted to list on. And it might get you other listings, then yeah, sure. I'm not saying that you should discount your fee, but you can negotiate it in other ways. And I think, again, there's always options to put price incentives in and other things to try and win that back. But so it's just working out, if you're trying to grow your business, and especially, again, if you're a new agent, you've just started out, you need numbers on the board. So you don't want, when I started my business, I think I perhaps was too proud on too many and was trying to hold my ground because I went in at big fees to start with. But I hadn't quite built up that trust within the community yet, that obviously as a new agent that I would do the job, whereas now I've got that authority because I can demonstrate what I've sold and what I've achieved. So I just think it depends on what stage of your journey you're at. But the final thing I just very, very quickly share was know your market. You really need to know your market in a changing market now where interest rates are changing. Know your supply and demand, what's selling, what isn't, what's hot, what's not. You really need to know that, because again, if you need to be kind of that figure of authority again, and show that you really demonstrate your market, and whether that's you're sharing it on social media or you're in the living room with someone. I just think you need to know those numbers. You can't go into an appraisal and not know what else is selling in your area, or what's what the average days on market might be for other properties and things like that. It's really important to get to know your data, know your market inside out. So again, the amount of times I get people in the living room who say, you're the only agent who went over any of that. The other agents just came in, walked around, gave us a price, gave us a fee, and left. Whereas I actually went through, look, this is why I think we need to list it at this price point. If we're looking around, there are 5 other homes between 400 and 450 that are on the market, some of which have been on the market for 3 months. So my worry is, if we come on at the top end at 450, I'm concerned that we're going to be we're the one that's going to be sitting on top of the market with the others. I want to price us so that we're sitting in the market, that we're competitive, and that we seem like a good offering. So it's backing up. It's not just telling them, I think you should put your property on for lower. You're telling them why they should be listing it at a particular price. And I think, and again, if they can see that you can back that, because as they say, without data, it's just another opinion. So you need to give them the data. You can't just say that, whereas a lot of agents will walk into an appraisal and just say, this is what I think, just based on their opinion in the market. But you've got to be able to present the data from the market, because then it's a great way to almost blame the market as well. Because again, if a house isn't selling, you can say, well, this is the market data. It's not me. This is the data that we went through. We're blaming the market. So again, it's a great way for people to be able to, see your knowledge and that you really know your market. So yeah, that was the third thing I was going to share.
I think it also just makes them confident and informed when making their decision and agreeing with you on the price. So absolutely data-driven all the way. All right. Any questions for Alex from the audience? If you've got them, please remember to drop them in the comments and we'll get to them at the end. Mr. Michael Bailey,
Hey, how are you?
representing Keller in the house. What can you tell us? How can the audience win 2025?
So I've got probably 3 or 4 points to make like the other guys. The one of the first areas I think we can win this year is looking at direct mail, but not just direct mail generally, direct mail for withdrawn properties. So for example, we've acquired some data recently that in the last 5 years, there's 4,500 withdrawn properties in our location. Now, obviously, some of those will have gone on to sell with other agents, and some of the data might not be 100% correct. But my point being, there's a lot of people there, nearly 900 people a year, who didn't go on to sell their homes, which most of those, I would imagine, still have a desire to sell, and it's just not worked out for a particular reason. So that's one of our big focuses for 25. And we are kind of getting in touch with those people in various ways. So similar to some of the techniques Terry mentioned, sort of cross-referencing CRM with what's out there on the market, but also experimenting with different types of content to be sending out. So long form content, short form content, and we're working with a bespoke gifting contractor. So we're trying to isolate a particular subsection of the market, obviously the higher value homes, to go and be looking to drop gifts off, to just stand out and do something different. So yeah, as I said, also I think if you are to isolate a sector or a subsection of that data, you're going to stand a better chance of getting the instructions back rather than going after all 4,500 that I mentioned. So I think that's certainly one thing that we're looking at. One of the things that came out of, so I was in Las Vegas last week, very lucky to be at Keller Williams family reunion. And one of the things which came out of that was trying to find the planets in your sphere. So they are the people that are most connected. So perhaps high profile business people, or people, for example, we've got a client on the market currently who is a hairdresser, but she's got a huge client book, huge. So she clearly is a very good person to be in relationship
from experience,
with.
Michael, we all talk to our hairdressers.
Exactly.
The best source of information.
Exactly. And just off the back of that, we've now got another listing that's just around the corner from the house that we're selling for her. So the message was find your planets, the people that have got most connections. So that if you've only got limited time for lead generation or relationship building, that you're doing it with people that are most widely connected, because obviously things will come off the back of that. We're also looking at automation, also spending a lot of time trying to find quick wins where we can take team members out of things which are perhaps pure admin to create more time for lead generation. So for example, we've created all sorts of pre-evaluation automations whereby the very sort of traditional call of looking forward to meeting you today, or a video or a WhatsApp, that's all done via an automation. The software we're using, you can even leave voicemail for the clients as well. So we're using that too, just to make sure that we're getting the touch points in, as was mentioned by one of the other guys, but we're not necessarily having to do all of that ourselves. Because if you want to do everything brilliantly, there's so much you can do, but you don't have all the time in the world. So that's why we're trying to focus on automations where we can. Obviously, telephone conversations are still fantastic, and that kind of interaction is the perfect way to do it. But if you've got limited time, then obviously I think automations are a really good way to go. Another one that we're kind of not focusing on, but a message I would give out, is about presentation. So I went to a number of talks with the Keller Williams luxury division. And one of the things they were talking about specifically was each listing being an audition for the next one that comes along. So that being that you need to obviously make everything look as good as it possibly can with professional marketing, video, all this kind of stuff, because you never actually know who's looking at what you're putting out there and then what's going to come off the back of that. So it's really, in my view,
me, Michael, that we've been watching you for 6 months. I'm like, what? that's the reality. People are watching you. You don't know, but they are, and that's where you have to be in front of them and meet them where they are on social media these days. So it goes back to what Alex was saying
Yeah,
about
and
video
Alex was
as well.
exactly. Yeah, you're auditioning before you go to see people in the living room.
In terms of your automation, was there any specific platform? What is the platforms that you're using that you recommend for agents? Is it specifically
We're using
platform, or is it
we're using Go High Level, but there's plenty of platforms where you can do it. Go High Level have got a number of their templated automations, but I'm actually spending the time to bespoke build some of the stuff that we're doing to make sure it's as we want it. But essentially what we did is there's a website called Miro, which is like an infinite online whiteboard. And we went on there and we planned out the entire process of someone coming into our business at any point, whether it be as an evaluation, someone wanting a viewing or what have you, and making sure that we have an almost fully joined up ecosystem so that person never leaves the business. So if, for example, it's gone on to complete the automation they get, if there's a prompt for me to give them a call every year, oh, you're in your house another year, that's linked to something else, so they get a card sent to them every year. We also invite them for an up-to-date valuation if they want it. And then if that person then says, yes, I would like a valuation, that then triggers them to drop into something else. So it's an all-encompassing system. But yeah, Miro was a way to start with that, where you can plan every way someone might enter the business and make it kind of a whole cycle, I guess.
Yeah, brilliant.
But yeah, I think they're the ways that people can win this year.
Fantastic. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, I've written a couple of those ones down because I think, or in general, customer journeys are so important, and you want to make sure that you're touching all of those points at any given time, because you never know when someone's circumstances are going to potentially change. As you said, a year, 2 years into the journey, they might be ready to sell and move already. So it's all about, keep in touch policy that you have. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Mr. Adam?
Bronwyn, did you just bail out on my surname then because you was worried about getting it wrong? Mr.
Almost. Yes, bastard.
It's always hard going last when you've just had all this value given by all the other speakers. So
saving the best for last. There we go. Bringing up the rear.
I don't know about that, but a lot of my notes for this were very similar to what you guys have been saying. So
yeah, I was saying before you joined just now that between this panel we've got over 100 years experience in agency. Yeah,
I feel like that at the moment, actually. The week I've had, but no, it's good. And these guys.
What can you tell the audience? How can they win in 2025?
A lot of similarities, but my first point would be selling the community, not just houses. Recent success I've had with something I've done for a number of years actually is doing like a Valentine's Day competition at a local restaurant. And interestingly enough, someone who won the competition 2 years ago actually completes on a land deal tomorrow where I've sold the back part of her garden. And it just reminded me of that recently, because that's how I got to talk to her and build that relationship, gave her a voucher for the restaurant. So, and that doesn't have to cost any money. What we did there was reach out to a really nice restaurant. He donated a meal for two and a bottle of wine. We did the video, promoted it, cross-sold it across his platform. It's had loads of views across different channels, and we had something like that 560 entries to the competition. So it's just raised that. What you do with that again is, like, obviously anyone who watches that video is likely local, so then you can retarget them with ads down the line. So that really works, and I think it helps not shouting about houses all the time. I think when I look back at the success on video in the company, the community stuff really works. And we've had, as we all do sometimes, we get some trolls. And I'm not going to mention
them today,
now,
Adam.
but I had a big troll years ago on. I did a video for community where I featured about 15 different businesses. So I hired 2 videographers for the day, shouted out on a Facebook Live to the local community group saying, I'm here today, here tomorrow morning. Anyone want to be on the video, shout me. I had about 15, 20 people feature on the video, and we did like a town video. Well, a local guy who'd had a hair salon for 40 years started trolling me for about 3 weeks after. And Mr. Watkin, as we all know, I reached out to him and it really affected me because I was like, I've done this, you know, it's cost me a lot of money. And he said, you'll turn him around to be your favourite fan. But just take him out for lunch, explain that you didn't mean to leave him out. And now he ended up being the mayor during lockdown of the local town, and he gives us leads all the time, and we've turned him around. So so that's the first one, really. Yeah, sell the community, I think, is massive, especially for self-employed agents. I think it's a great way to show that you care and you're not just talking about houses and the housing market all the time. Another thing at the moment I'm trying to do is, you know, heavily similar to Michael, is automate, but automate in a more, you know, personal way, so it's not off the shelf like Michael said, but also automate with a way that it's going to prompt you to make the relationship stronger. So not always automate directly to them, but tell you what to do at what day, so you come in and you know that you've got to reach out. One thing I'm working well with that is not so automated, but is I'm doing WhatsApp broadcast quite heavily. So I went to similar to what Michael said, I went to Miami with Alex in October and was in a session with a really successful guy in America. And he said, grab your phone now. And he said, set up a WhatsApp broadcast and send it to 256 people you know you've done a good service for. All right. So I set it up while I was in the hour talk. And he said, write this message. And he said, I'm doing a competition with a group of agents. We're seeing how many leads we can get. We know you're probably not thinking of selling right at this moment, but have you got any friends who might be? And he said, please. He said it's really important to put the word please twice. So I sent this message over, simple message. I had 17 valuations booked on the back of it within 2 days. So yeah, those people were in my phone. So as Stephen Brown always says, your data is your gold, database is your gold mine. So it just reminded me of the fact that I've got all these contacts in my phone. You've just got to nurture them and sometimes ask for, you might not be thinking of selling, but have you got any friends or family who are, and ask for the work. So which is something I've not been strong enough over the years. I've not been one of these people door knocking. I've more tried to be an attraction agent rather than going hunting for stock. But I think it needs a blended approach in this day and age.
Yeah, look, referrals are gold. Okay.
I've got a few other things, but I think personal brand is huge. Obviously, especially self-employed agents, direct mails, something which but doing it in a bit different way. So there's
in a different way. How are we able to hear the secrets?
Yeah. And having having a really structured marketing plan and knowing what you're doing. I think there's many agents I speak to up and down the country, and some small, some huge, and they don't really have a plan for the next 12 months, 18 months. This is what we're going to be doing. And I think when you really know what your whole team knows exactly what the vision is for the marketing, and you can readjust it every 90 days. But I think you've got to know, like, this is how many direct mail letters we're going to do. This is how many videos we've got to go out, because otherwise it becomes a bit fragmented. And, you can go have some quick wins, but it's consistency which wins a race, isn't it? I think that's what I think. Anyway.
It's my word of the year. Consistent.
Discipline and consistency, isn't it? But I think you've got it written down. I think Michael mentioned that website about mapping things out. I use Canva. There's like a mind map on Canva, and you can do similar to that. And so you can just quickly build simple things for the team to see, and it maps it out, stick it up on the wall, and everyone knows what we've got to do and readdress it. But as Fran was talking about, team meetings, I think there's never been a better time to dive back into that. I know it's been a busy market last couple of years. I think a lot of agents have gotten bad habits of just being busy, but you can become busy fools, can't you? So you've got to know who you're going after.
Busy, productive.
Yes. Yeah, especially
and automation, AI, all of these things that are coming into play now. AI might have been a buzzword a couple of years ago, but if you're not embracing it now, then you're left behind. So you've all said it in some way that today, if you're not automating in your business, it's only going to help you win faster, essentially. All right, Adam, thank you so much.
No problem.
Latia.
Yes.
Talking about automation,
Yes. all of
let's
the feedback on that as well, because we're also looking at, different ways to automate even better. I feel that a lot of the info that you guys gave today is relevant to so many different industries and not just the property industry. I think in general, if people are consistent and they take a lot of this advice in any industry, it can create a lot of success for them this year. So thanks for that. It's been great. Okay, so
obviously a lot said in the last 40 minutes. So to tie it all up, yeah, and just turn it back around into your processes, your systems, and how you can adapt those to help you win. And of course, VA Central is able to, as we are helping everyone on this webinar today, are able to help you as well. So Tia will just run us through a little bit on that. If I can just get this up here. Can everyone see my screen?
yeah. So pretty much owner me, admin me, accountant me, web designer me, photographer me, the list goes on, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. And if this is
everyone was at this stage at some part in their journey, yeah.
Especially the stressed out me. I mean, this year started with a bang. But I think if any of you can relate to this, watching this today, we've helped a lot of our guest speakers with similar issues by taking away a lot of, tasks that bog them down that's not fee earning. And they can really just focus on growing their business and have a more healthy work-life balance. So just in a nutshell, why VA Central? We have premium caliber talent, which means all of our VAs come with previous experience within a similar role. Our bespoke matching service is where we really sit with you, our team, so myself, Bronwyn, and then Nikki and Drew. We sit with you and we really dissect your business needs and make sure that we tick all of the boxes that you need covered so that you have that bespoke VA that matches your specific needs. And then also access to community. We don't just give you a VA and off you go. We keep on nurturing our VAs, growing them with workshops, just personal growth and, professional growth, and the same for our clients. We're constantly there to help you. Delegating is a skill, right? So some of our clients we have to teach to trust and step back and delegate more work. And, the proof is in the pudding. We just absolutely have a passion for what we do. Some of our services that we cover: prospecting, social media management, sales and lettings, property management, personal assistance, sales progression. It's the tip of the iceberg, but in a nutshell, we can do anything that doesn't require physical presence. And then just looking at our marketing services, from blogs to video and photo editing, newsletter, Google Ads, SEO, social media management, virtual tours, print designs, AI marketing, vlogs, copywriting.
Did it all today.
And then we're bringing in AI very soon. We're deep diving into AI. So you need to get on that AI train to stay ahead of the game as well. If you want to chat about any of the above and you feel that you can relate to having needs in this, please scan the QR code, or you can just personally reach out to any of us. We would love to have a virtual coffee and find out how we can help you too.
Yeah. And thank you to our panelists, and thank you to our audience for joining us today. And we will be sending around the recording after this. I'll also put together a little bit of an e-guide with everyone's tips and tricks, so that you've got that, so you can start implementing in that business, or in your businesses, should I say. Someone raised their hand. I don't know if there was a question. It's gone down. Okay. All right. If there's any last minute questions, pop them in the chats for our speakers. But again, thank you so much to everyone for joining today. And thank you, Alex, Michael, Adam, Terry, and Fran, who had to drop off, for your time today. Really, really appreciate that. A lot of gold in a very short time. And lots to implement for 2025. Thrive. Yes.
Thanks,
Brilliant.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for
everyone.
watching.
Have a great day.
Have a good day.